12 months ago, I entered a niche that I actually hate when I bought a website on Flippa for $1,665 US. It was making just $25 per month at the time, so I decided to get hands-on with the niche as I wanted to try and flip the site 12 months later for a healthy profit. Actually, I couldn't handle the coffee, so I outsourced all the content to actual coffee drinkers. So make sure you stick around till the end of the video to see how much money I made and how I went about doing it. There's a playlist documenting the last 6 months of me owning the website that shows the progress made month on month. But before I show you the key steps that I took to improve the SEO, increase the traffic and maximise the revenues, let's take a look at the key stats for those last few months. So we can see the data here for 2021. So I took the site on in around April time here. We can see in April it made $18.77, May $20.19, June was shocking at $3.63, $12.66. But then in August we started to see that uptick for Coffee Grind Guru at $68. 221 in September, a drop back in October, but generally an increasing trend through the year, with December finishing off on $345.60. Now, if we look at this year, we can see that January, that trend continued to rise at 437, February it dropped back a little bit, March was again a healthy month at 367, and then April 354, which was the point where I then sold the site, and that's why we see the drop here. But I was also using a couple of other affiliate programs too, through Share a Sale, and then one that was direct with a manufacturer. So let's take a look at the stats for the last 6 months, which is what I based the valuation on. So we see November was $397, December $344.91, Jan $435, and we can see the figures here into April, which gave a 6-month average of $375.32, and at a 45 times multiple, that was $16,889.77. Total costs in that period were $519. And in my last case study video, I said that I was going to sell the site because it was 12 months after that initial purchase date, and to be quite honest, I wanted to focus on other projects of mine. Like I said, I wasn't particularly passionate about the niche. Now in a moment, I'll be sharing with you the final sale price as well as how I actually sold the site. But first, let's take a look at the steps that I took to make those improvements in terms of traffic, SEO, rankings, and ultimately revenue. So the first thing that I did was I tweaked the URL structure. And what I mean by that is I just made the URLs a little bit cleaner, tidied up some of the category URLs that didn't really need to be there. And this was a big decision really, because I knew that this would have a negative impact on the site in the short term. But it paid off in the end with the rankings, yes, initially taking a dip, but over the next few months, they really started to come back much stronger. I also changed the theme, and in retrospect, I probably wouldn't have done this because the theme that was in place originally was Generate Press. Now at the time, I wasn't familiar with that theme, and I just wanted something that I could put in that would be much easier for me to use to generate the content quickly. And although that did work, and it's still working today, I probably would have left Generate Press in if I was to take this project on from scratch. I also added some plugins to the website, the most notable one being Thirsty Affiliates, just to allow me to create those cloaked affiliate links and also to track the clicks on them. One of the biggest things that I did was to revisit the existing content. The content wasn't bad that was on the site, but it did need a little bit of a freshen up. The site had used writers in the past, so I went in and I tweaked the actual written content itself. I also went in and improved the featured images that were on the site. A lot of the posts had some very dated looking featured images, and you might still be able to find some of them if you have a trawl through some of the older pages on the website. I didn't change them all, just the key, probably the top 20 or 25 pages. The next thing I did was implement a more thorough internal linking strategy on the website. I also had to tweak some of the internal links because I'd changed the URL structure. I'd put some 301 redirects in place, and it didn't make sense for me to be internally linking to the old page for it just to be redirected. So those needed to be updated, and I was fairly aggressive on the anchor text with those internal links. In total, I added 22 pieces of content over that 12-month period, which probably doesn't sound like a huge amount, but there was already some good quality content on the site and a decent amount of it. Also, a lot of the content that was already on the site was information based. So I focused most of my attention on commercial and more heavily weighted affiliate type keywords such as reviews and buyer's guides. And finally, I built 21 backlinks to the website in that 12-month period, all of which came from guest posts. And again, these were fairly aggressively targeted for the new pages and some of those existing pages, and that really made a huge impact on the rankings and ultimately the traffic and revenues. And so 12 months later, I announced to my YouTube community that I was selling the site, and I wasn't sure if anyone would want it, but I wanted to give people first dibs on it before I went to Flippa. And I'm pleased to say that one of my subscribers, Rude Van Loo, did get in touch, and he made me an offer of $16,000 US, which I was pretty happy with, and so we went with that. And 2 weeks later, he was the proud owner of the domain and the website with all the content, and everything was transferred over pretty smoothly. I'm also really pleased to say that the site did not get hit, or at least it doesn't look like it got hit in the latest core update. And I'm really pleased for Rude because I think he's got a good site there, and I've 10x'd my investment, but I actually think he could go on and maybe 4 or 5 times his investment, maybe even more than that. Probably, you know, for me, it was probably a little bit early to sell. The site was very much on an upward trajectory, which of course did make the site easier to sell, but I probably could have got a little bit more out of the site if I'd kept it for the next 6 months and going into that Christmas period where sales probably will skyrocket. So was I right to sell? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, if you're interested in buying a site and trying to flip it, then I've got a few tips that I would like to share with you that I think I've learned along the way and through this process. But before I do that, I have put 2 links down in the description below to sites that I have found over the last couple of days on Flippa. So if you're watching this video in the first 2 or 3 days, there is a chance that you could get your hands on one of those. And I've tried to apply the same principles to that search and finding those 2 domains that I did to when I looked for Coffee Grind Guru. So they're not too expensive, and I think they've got good potential, so be sure to check those out. So what did I learn through my experience of buying websites on Flippa and then looking to flip them? Well, the first thing is that there is no such thing as a perfect site. There's always going to be some kind of issue. For me with Coffee Grind Guru, that was those poorly optimized URLs, the content and those featured images, but they were all things that I could change pretty quickly. The second thing is that you need to be prepared for a lot of work. Although it can be a little bit of a shortcut when you buy an existing website, you're still going to need to put the work in. So don't think that just by going out and buying an existing website that it's going to be a super quick shortcut and you're not going to need to put in any effort. You will need to do that. Next, I think this is a really important one, is that if a site is poorly optimized, in my eyes, a lot of times they're the type of sites to go for, because you're going to get quicker wins when you can make the changes that need to be made. So particularly if, you know, the content is poor, or it has very few backlinks, or the URL structure is badly optimized, or they're not including images or alt tags, their meta titles are bad. Any of these things, these are quick wins that you can put in place. Okay, backlinks is a little bit more of a task, but any of the on-page SEO elements, if that's badly optimized, you're going to make some quick gains very, very quickly. The next thing is Amazon-only sites. These are sites that are only monetized using Amazon Associates. The commission rates are pretty low on Amazon, and so if you can find other alternative affiliate programs that maybe offer 30-day cookies, higher commission rates, or has the potential to negotiate higher commission rates, then again, that can be a situation where you can literally double your money overnight just by changing those affiliate programs out from Amazon to another program. Now, in my opinion, the sweet spot for buying an existing website is probably a site that is making in the range of $25 to $100 per month, because these are ripe for improvement. But really anything between $25 and $300 per month sites, one, they're fairly affordable, and two, like I say, you're going to be able to make improvements to those sites to double, triple, or maybe even 10x the income like we did with Coffee Grind Guru. And finally, sites that are pretty heavy in terms of info content will give you that greater amount of leeway if you want to create more commercial type content. That is, if you believe in the info versus commercial content ratios, which I'm still not convinced that I do, but lots of people do. So if you do want that level of protection, then investing in a site that has a higher level of info content can give you that greater protection. Now, if you're not quite ready to go out and buy an existing site and you want to set one up from scratch, then check this video out where I show you how to find a niche using Flippa, which is a great niche research method that I love to use. And after all that, I think I need a coffee.